play the video in the background?
All right, we're live now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Sexiest Man Alive nominee, according to Carnival Cruises, my brother, Joseph Cockfield, otherwise
Shocking.
known as...
Win. I know that.
What'd you say?
Anybody watching this couldn't possibly think that was a proper result.
All right, so that's what we're gonna. That's gonna be our teaser. We'll go right to it. We should have had the pictures uploaded. I'll see if I can get those going in just a second. But yeah, tell everybody before we get into the legal stuff. Tell everybody what that's about.
Well, me and Zach both have a dad that liked to embarrass us as frequently as possible around our friends, and so of course we had the oldest kids with us on this cruise, and you know every cruise has the sexiest man competition where it's on the top deck and everybody's looking. It's right outside the pool.
Oh yeah.
And so the kids were talking about it the day before, and like, you're not going to enter that. You wouldn't do that. And of course, you know, I had to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Once they dare you, you got to show them that you can be, you know, just as goofy as the you know, dad joke stereotype. We're
exactly
ready.
Well, it's not the huge buff dude that, you know, normally wins those things. It's the, you know, the
guy that can dance. Yeah,
yeah. The guy that's the funniest. So I figured I'd throw my hat in the ring, and sadly, they did not. The ladies did not think sexiest man. Kind of crazy.
Oh. All right. Well, there's always next year, brother.
Exactly.
Which we were talking about baseball a minute ago. That's usually, it used to be something people would say about the Cubs, and now your Cubs are pretty good, and my Braves, which I was really excited about, are now 0-7. We're the only team left that hasn't won a game, so we got to get something worked out there. We'll come back to that later. The idea for this podcast, this show, was Joe has a lot of experience. He's been an attorney for a long time. How long have you been practicing now?
Well,
checks the degree on the wall.
Yeah, passed the bar in April of 2005. So,
okay, wow, look at that. So you're up on you're right at 20 years, brother.
You know, the 22nd of this month will be 20 years since I passed the bar.
Yeah, and yeah, Joe's practiced a few types of law, but I thought it would be interesting for us to talk about. And this kind of goes back to the old David Letterman, what, stupid pet tricks? Isn't that what he said? There used to be a segment. There used to be a segment called, it was like stupid pet tricks. This is going to be like stupid criminal tricks. I thought it would be fun to bring that up so that we can share some.
Well, he also do top tens, like, of everything. You know, like the top
10. But also, you know, there's a serious point behind this, and one of the things we're trying to do at New 2 Media is illustrate the value of working with professionals, because you can get in a lot of trouble trying to save a little bit of money doing things on your own.
Yeah.
And so whether we're talking to attorneys or home service pros or financial professionals like me, I think it's important for people to know how valuable it is to work with somebody that knows what they're doing.
And I will say, I spent all day yesterday in a jury trial, which was my 6th, because I try to do my best to avoid those unless you have either an absolutely innocent client with a really good case and you have to try it, or you have somebody that, like you said, fails to listen to the advice of the person that they're going to. And you know, I always tell people, when you go to your heart surgeon, or you go to, the dentist, you don't argue with them about how to replace the cavities or fix your heart. You you go with what they tell you to do. You can
but since we see legal shows on TV all the time, we all think we're legal experts.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion. That's fine, but you follow the advice of whichever professional you go with. You don't want to go with one and then disagree with them and not listen to them. And so the last number of times that I've had jury trials, it's not because these were cases that I thought were in great shape to get a victory. They were because I had clients that didn't listen to the advice that I gave them. And I fear that the case that we had yesterday is probably going to lead to my client never leaving jail. So it is. But
I know you can't talk about specific client details.
But I'll say this, that if there was a top 10 list for things not to do when it comes to criminal law, every single one of the 10 would be just shut up. Don't talk to the police ever. I've read books. There are books where people of stories of people that have genuinely wanted to help the police in solving crimes, gone to the police and said things to help, hopefully solve the crime, and they wound up being convicted of the things that they were trying to help solve, and then were exonerated years later.
Right.
I wish I had that book with me. It was a smaller book, but let's see, do I have it? Oh, I did right here. Yeah, this is a great one. It's called "You Have the Right to Remain Innocent." It's like it's 137 pages annotated, but the whole thing's just full of cases where people were absolutely innocent, went to go help the cops try and solve the case, and wound up getting convicted for the very thing. And the whole point of this book, and the whole point of any defense attorney that's worth their weight in salt, is you don't ever talk to the police. Like, police tell their kids, don't talk to the police. If you absolutely have information that the police need to get to solve a crime, you hire an attorney to tell them to tell the police, because if it comes out of your mouth, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you might be an accessory or something else, and
exactly. And if your attorney says it, they can't hold it against you.
Yeah.
If you say it, they can.
Right.
So, anyway, if there was a top 10 for stupidest things you can do, outside of the stories we're going to talk about, it is, if the cop ever knocks on your door and asks you about a crime, you should always say, "I'm calling my attorney." And if you live in Roanoke, Virginia, or the surrounding areas, you should call me, Sexiest Man Alive.
That's right. Oh man, I wish Kara was here so she could hear this stuff. All right,
she would probably be rolling her eyes right now.
All right, we can take turns reading our stupid criminal stories. First one that popped up that I found was baggage handler performs push-ups inside plane engine turbine. In Australia, a 23-year-old baggage handler was arrested after a video surfaced of him doing push-ups inside a plane's engine turbine. He was charged with threatening aviation security and failing to display proper identification in a secure area. So
that strikes me as incredibly stupid, but I'm kind of shocked that there was a law against that. Like, that's kind of like making a law that you're not allowed to jump off of a tall, cliff, onto rocks without a parachute.
Yeah, well, it said it was threatening aviation security, so it was it was a broader term that he got charged with.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen a lot of stories start with this. Florida man, so and so, and I think I see that state mentioned more than any other. Florida man climbs cell tower for live stream. Seeking social media attention, a man in Riverview, Florida, and that does happen a lot now, people trying to get attention, scaled a cellular tower to live stream his stunt. Deputies safely negotiated his descent, and he was taken into custody without incident. But I hope you got a lot of likes and traffic from it, buddy, because you might have some expenses to take care of.
Hold on a second, guys. Or you need me for something, buddy?
No, it's fine.
Okay, you leaving now?
No, I'll do it after.
All right, I'll be up in a minute.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's not a meme if you don't have kids running through the background, right? Or dogs jumping out. I don't have any dogs.
At least it wasn't that girl doing her dance and all.
That one was that because when we were on the cruise, we stopped at one of these Royal Caribbean islands in Haiti.
Yeah,
it was beautiful, man. I really wasn't, stoked about going to Haiti because I've been to Cuba and I heard Haiti's much worse than Cuba. But anyway, again, it was the Royal Caribbean owned, so it was basically just they bought this little strip of land and it was absolutely gorgeous. But while we were there were a couple girls that are these influencers, and so they went out on the beach and they set up their camera and they just had their wind blowing in their hair, and they had these super tiny bikinis on and had all the proper work done, so to speak. And I'm thinking that's the life, man. You get on a cruise, you go to about 10 or 12 exotic places a year, you just show off your assets and you make money off of stuff like this. We're in the wrong business, Zach.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, that's a great gig if you can get it, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but that is a little bit of a segue for New 2 Media, actually, because we are actively bringing on new podcast hosts, and especially for real estate agents. So for the real estate agents that are out there.
Are you asking scantily clad bikini?
No, not a requirement. Not a requirement. Probably does not hurt the traffic on your show if it is set up that way. But
sell houses. I mean, well, think about it. Like if there was an open house, it's kind of like Hooters. If you can go get a burger at McDonald's, but then you can go get a burger at Hooters.
Yeah.
If you had a girl like maybe doing an open house with a bikini, you might have a little bit more traffic for selling that house. I'm not trying to be super sexist. Whatever. Okay, so you want my dumb crook story now, or my first one?
Yes, give me another one. We'll go back and forth on this.
And I don't want to become too graphic here, but this one is Wisconsin man could not resist sex with couch. And the headline is, or I guess the body of the story is, look, if a dude wants to bang a couch in the privacy of his home, that's his problem. Live and let live. Or I should say, live and let living people screw inanimate objects is what we think. But why did 46-year-old Wisconsin man Gerald Streeter, see, that was a Freudian slip.
Oh, yeah.
Need to have sex with a couch on the street? Was the couch just too hot to resist? Those curves, those come hither armrests? Doesn't say what he was. Imagine it was indecent exposure.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a mental illness issue there, and we certainly don't want to make fun of that if that's the case, but that's That's unique. That's not a story you want to get out if you're trying to do business in the community or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
But wow. Okay. Wisconsin man giving Florida man a run for his money. All right. Here we go. Suspect attempts disguise as woman after boat theft. Here we go. Another Florida man. Are you there? Lost your camera for a second there.
All right.
There he is.
Sorry, a phone call came in and it killed my camera. Sorry about that.
No problem. All right. Going back to this story, suspect attempts disguise as woman after boat theft. A Florida man suspected of stealing a boat tried to evade capture by dressing as a woman, complete with a feather-patterned dress and oversized sunglasses. The disguise failed to deceive deputies, leading to his arrest. So it was kind of like, wah, wah, wah.
He should have just identified as innocent, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. He should have identified as innocent. That's really good. All right. So Florida man 2, Wisconsin man 1. So we're gonna maybe we do a state tally for dumb criminal tricks each week. What you got?
All right. I'm pulling it up. Okay, Oregon. We'll get out of the way. No. Well, an ad, of course, comes up. And now I can't read it. But, dang it. Oh, I have to sign up to get it. Anyway, the headline is, man fell asleep while robbing house. Failed. This was an Oregon man, which, ironically, I have a case right now that we're going to jury in 2 weeks, where he went into a buddy of his house after a very eventful previous day, fell asleep on the guy's bed. The cops raid the house in the middle of the night while his buddy's gone. And they charge him with possession of illegal substances that are found in the house. And we have witnesses coming to say that my guy was basically just there and
Just visiting kind of thing.
Yeah, just visiting. They've got him charged with constructive possession of the things that were within close proximity to him. And that's not the way that constructive possession is supposed to work. Normally that's reserved for, like, if you're pulled over in a car, you're deemed to be constructively possessing the things that you can reach within that car. And if you own the car, you normally are constructively possessing, all the things in the trunk and in the glove box. But if it's your dad's car or somebody else's car, if those things are locked, then they normally can't say that you are possessing them. So anyway, that'll be an interesting case.
Yeah, that sounds like, I've heard a couple of times you talking about how this aspect of the law has not been, there's not precedent for this part of it, or, I'm exploring this new fact pattern that we haven't run into before. I think it's interesting when you're working on a case that has something unique about it like that.
Well, I've had a case before that almost went to trial. I wanted to take it to trial, where I had a guy who was in the passenger seat of a car, and his buddy who was driving was apparently high out of his mind on methamphetamine.
Okay.
And so my guy calls the law and says, and tells his buddy, you got to pull over, and calls the law and says, I don't have a driver's license, but this guy can't drive anymore. He's high on something. Please come get him, right? You there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, yeah.
So then as the cops are pulling up, my guy sees where a baggie of meth is falling out of the car, right? And so he picks up the meth and throws it in the trash, right?
Oh, but that put.
Yeah, again, he's the one that called the law. He's the one that brought them there.
Yeah.
He's not driving. The other guy gets arrested for DUI, but they charged him with possession for picking up the meth and putting it in the trash.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Oh, yeah. And so I'm going back and forth with the Commonwealth on this. I'm like, so under that theory, if you're a parent and you find drugs in your kid's room and you take them from your kid's room and flush them down the toilet, you're saying that justifies a possession charge. And the Commonwealth attorneys were like, well, yeah, technically it does. So I did a big case law research on it in Virginia. And there are states where they have a temporary possession defense. But Virginia is not one of them. So my guy wound up taking a deal where basically he did no jail time whatsoever, but he did take a conviction for possession only because he was already a felon. But that was a tough one to swallow. Unlike this Remus 6-year, which is much easier.
This short break is brought to you by Remus. What brand did you say it was?
It's called Remus. Remus is just a type of bourbon, not a very popular one, but that.
Okay, can we get a close up on the bottle?
Yeah, give me a second.
Joe has an extensive bourbon collection, I should say. Hundreds of bottles of bourbon. So,
all right.
I learned from my little brother about his bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
That's backwards, isn't it? I don't know why it's backwards.
No, I can read it. No, it's good. And it's 6-year. Is that a rye or?
No, this is a regular one. I mean, it's not a great one. I'll tell y'all, if you're
Here he goes.
Okay, because you had to get me on it.
Yep, yeah.
If you've got a bourbon drinker buddy or parent or a family member and you want to get them a gift, that is in almost every store in the United States.
Go a little closer.
This is Jack Daniel's barrel proof
Single
rye.
barrel rye. Yeah, that looks good.
It is extremely good. It's a very high octane bottle, but it's readily available everywhere, and it's 90% better. Well, I should say 95% better than anything out there. So, or no, that's not the right way to say it. It's better than 95% of everything out there. There we go.
That's good. Yeah, top 5% bourbon. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll mix in some other bourbons. All right. Here's one about a juvenile criminal, I believe. Well, it says teen. Teen burglar caught after leaving trail of dog poop footprints.
That's good.
Isn't it? A teenager was apprehended after breaking into a home.
Tell the cop, or does the cop tell him, man, you're full of shit? Don't give me that line. You're full of shit.
Oh, man. Yeah, would be banker. It says a teenager was apprehended after breaking into a home and inadvertently stepping in dog feces. The trail of footprints led police directly to his location.
That's good.
Oh, man. Not a trail of breadcrumbs, but oh, wow. So now, does that mean that the dog is an accomplice in the crime now since he's touched?
I don't know that he aided and abetted the crime taking place. He probably an accessory to the capture, and would get the collar for the arrest.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did?
That's good. I got another one here. Man calls 911 on himself after botched break-in. A criminal injured himself during a break-in and decided to call 911 for assistance, leading to his own arrest. That's when you're really just mailing it in, you know?
Yeah.
And lastly, the number 10, because I think some of these were not as good. No, wait a minute. Man swings from cable above restaurant, throws bricks. In downtown Vancouver, a man spent over 45 minutes swinging from an overhead cable above a restaurant, throwing bricks and causing property damage. He eventually fell onto a fire truck positioned below and was arrested. So Canada getting into the mix for stupid human tricks this week.
I guess end with my, and it's not that it always seems funny to me, but when I tell people it doesn't come across, I guess it's one of these, you had to be there. Yeah. I'll say that ahead of time, but I had a guy in Roanoke City who was charged with something, I forget. And, it was an assault and battery of a guy, right? And so we're about to do the bond hearing, not the trial, but we do the bond hearing. And of course, the alleged victim is always allowed to be in the courtroom for a bond hearing. So my guy comes out of the jail, right? And the judge is sitting on the bench and he sees the alleged victim in the audience. And he says, "When I get out, motherfucker, I'm going to kill you."
Really?
And, yeah. At the bond hearing, right?
Like,
so, of course, I look at him and I say, "You do realize this is your bond hearing?" And the judge is sitting right there. And it was Judge Rowe. And he said, I think we can dispose of the bond hearing at this point, Mr. Cockfield. Yeah.
Oh, what did the I guess the district attorney, or Commonwealth attorney,
They're on the other side laughing, like,
yeah,
I don't think I've seen that before, but
yeah,
it seemed like something out of Night Court, you know, like.
Oh yeah. I could totally see John Larroquette making a joke with his client about that.
I think I remember it, like right after he turned to the judge and was like, "Oh, Judge, I was just kidding. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that." And he was just take him back to his cell type thing. It was hilarious.
Yeah. So he tried to backtrack, and what did he say when he realized what an idiot he'd been?
Well, fortunately, it was a situation where I think the trial was set for the following week, and he probably wasn't going to get bond anyway. And by the time we got to trial, the Commonwealth attorney was like, "I'm not going to get more than the time he's already been in." So he got out and he was happy, but it just led to a really funny story. So,
wow. Yeah, it's you can't feel bad if you're doing your job and the client does something like that. I mean,
yeah,
there's only so much you can do, I think.
Well, and again, if anybody's watching this, you know, these stories are kind of funny, but a lot of the dumbest things that have ever happened to my clients, the worst case I've ever had, the one that still haunts me, and I think about it probably once a week, is this kid who was busted for weed, and he's being held in jail for this, and it wasn't a small amount of weed, it was a larger amount of weed, but the detectives bring him out of the jail to talk to him for a second, and they basically show him a picture of this girl, and they say, "Do you know this girl?" And he's like, "Yeah, we hooked up a couple times," because he was this sweet kid, man, good kid. And of course that's going to sound awful when I say the next thing, but they said, "Well, do you know how old this girl is?" And it turns out the girl was like 12 and 350 something days, right? And she had apparently been very promiscuous with a lot of his buddies, and by him just saying, "Yeah, we hooked up a couple times," got him 20 years in jail. And he had never hurt anybody. He was just I think he was 19 at the time, or 18, and close to 19 when they did this interview. So it all goes back to the very first thing that I said. The dumbest thing you can do is talk to the police. Never talk to the police. And had he not said anything, if he would have just said, I'm not answering any questions, they would have never been able to convict him. So
were you present at the time, or were they did they
No, they
well, that's not your fault. I mean, that's
right. I mean, when he came into the interview, they, it was a custodial interrogation because, well, no, it wasn't a custodial interrogation because he was already in jail. But the first thing they said was, you realize you don't have to talk with us if you don't want to. I mean, if you want to end the interview, you can. And he was like, no, it's all right. What's up? And then they said, do you know this girl? And so it was all over. Just for him trying to be agreeable and nice.
Well, okay, but that's a good point for a lot of people. The police are not necessarily bad guys, but you should not talk to them if you're being charged or you think you might be getting charged with a crime. So make sure that you're taking full advantage of the rights that the Constitution affords you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll say also, one of the things that we are trying to do is, and this is something that Joe and I both believe, because we know a lot of people are taking legal advice or partnering with firms that are not necessarily experts in the area that the customer has been connected to them for, or they think they're an expert because they do marketing on billboards and on commercials. They do business with those firms. I think Joe is going to be
or say that they're experts in a particular area. Like a DC attorney might act like he knows what's best for the judges around me, and that's dumb. And I should never presume to know what's best for an attorney or for a client that's up in DC. So sometimes
it's different. Yeah, but I mean,
it's best to refer to people in the local area.
Exactly. And that's one thing that Joe is going to help our clients do. He is going to help them get connected to attorneys that specialize in the type of case that you are dealing with. There are a lot of firms out there that spend a lot of money on marketing, but they're not necessarily good at handling the case. Oftentimes they're just handing the case off to somebody that they know that they might be getting a kickback from. And
that they get the biggest kickback from.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why it's best for, if you have a legal issue, to connect with Joe so that he can find somebody who is going to be the best for you, not the best payout for them. Joe's going to find somebody.
And not to sell my family man or family atmosphere partnership with my. Leaving to go to their grandparents, so I'm gonna hug them before they leave. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah.
All right, you still there?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, let's share one more bourbon, and then I'll read one more stupid criminal story.
Go for it.
All right. One reason I wanted to point this out is I noticed it was Florida again. I'm going to have to give my wife, who is from Jacksonville, a little bit of some grief about this. Couple arrested for creating fake winning lottery ticket. A Florida couple attempted to claim a $1 million prize using a counterfeit lottery ticket.
Went too big. Went too big. They should have gone for 10 grand or 1,000.
Yeah, might have gotten away with it for smaller amounts. Exactly. Their scheme was quickly uncovered, resulting in their arrest. All right. Well, let's show us one more bourbon, and we'll wrap up.
Okay. Let's see. You were in Atlanta. Okay.
I am in Atlanta, or Roswell, technically.
There is a
suburbs
distillery in Atlanta, and they do not create their own juice. They actually buy it from other people, mix it, and make their own mixes. But it is notorious for being some of the best stuff in the country. And it is called Short Barrel. And I've asked you
to whiskey. Okay.
I've asked you to go check them out. They are in, what was that little area that is near you? And you said you've got a client there that's like, you go once a month for?
I can't talk about that, but yeah. No, that's
well, no, you're just talking about the area. I'm not talking about the client or his money or anything, but
yeah. Let's see.
Hold on, I'll look up where it is.
Yeah.
It's like 30 minutes from you.
Oh yeah. If it's southeast, west, north.
I'll tell you. Hold on.
Yeah.
Norcross.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Norcross. And you said you didn't say your client lived in Norcross. You said you had a client that lived close to Norcross, that you're there every so often on. But
I didn't know there was a distillery in Norcross. I have a few clients that I'm going to ask about that.
It is an awesome distillery too, man.
Yeah.
In fact, next time I go visit you, I'm probably going to go check that out.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll talk more about that. I was going to give you a hard time about the frequency of your visits, but I'll hold up on that.
Now there's a good distillery close, so I have a reason to go.
Yeah, the odds have just gone up drastically. Okay. Super cool. All right. Well, I'm glad we got to try it. Stupid human criminal tricks today. We'll work to fine tune this, but again, we're going to put a few promotions for starting this, and thanks for protecting the rule of law, brother.
Yeah. Go find a way to make me some money, buddy.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun day in the market today.
It's all your fault, Zach. You did it all.
Yeah, it's my fault. I might get some emails questioning that. We'll see. But hang in there, people. It's going to be okay. All right, brother. Have a great weekend.
Everything's on sale. Send Zach some money. See y'all.
That's right. See you, brother.